going on, everybody? This is Keeping It Real Fishing, and want to give you a first look and some just initial impressions on a new line that I'm using. And it's a new line to the market. That's why I figured I'd make a video. It's made by Tuf-Line and it's called Supercast. Let me show you it and to give you a few thoughts on it. So here's a spool. Tuf-Line Supercast. What does it say up there? Feels like mono, performs like braid. So the deal with this line is it's allegedly a braid, but I'm actually going to make a second. There's going to be within this video, I'm going to do a part home video because I dissected this line. I don't think it's actually a braid. I don't consider it a braid. I'm going to show you the internals, like the anatomy of this line. But they say performs like mono, and feels like mono, performs like braid. It's kind of like a braid. I'll show you what I mean in the other part of the video. But basically, yeah, it has a lot of strength to it, but not as much as your traditional braids. Like in the case of this one, this says 20 pound, and it has a 10 pound mono diameter equivalent. You know, so normally, if you're using braid, if you're using like a 10 pound mono equivalent, that'd be 40 pound braid, 40 pound strength. So here you it's by a factor of 2. So if you're fishing like, if I stepped up to a 12 pound diameter, it has a tensile strength of I think about 24 pounds, 25 pounds. So that sheathing, you know, is not in itself the braid, it's not in itself the line. It's just a sheathing for it. It's not adding any rigidity or any strength, as far as I can tell. With regard to the name, Supercast, I can't comment too much. It's my first time out with it, and it's my first time with the new Akuma Helios. So I'm still figuring out the reel, you know, not figuring it out, but you know what I mean. I'm just kind of getting my braking system down, and every reel's a little bit different. I'll just show you what I can here. Here's the line. And so the unique thing about it is you can't feel any braid there. To feel it, it does feel like mono. It's perfectly smooth. You know, other braids, sometimes they compact the fibers real tight, and you don't feel as much. Like, I guess a classic example would be a first generation Power Pro to the new Slick 8. Feels a lot smoother, but you can still tell it's a braid. This, when you feel it, it feels like mono. It really does. So that's the cool part, is that it has that real smooth feel, and I guess technically speaking, that should cast farther, because you're not going to have any of the friction. In practice, I didn't really notice it. You know, I wasn't swinging for the fences, trying to cast the hell out of my lures, but what you do notice is the fact that it's really quiet. You don't hear that sound that braid normally gives you through the guides, that whirring sound. You know, like if you're cranking down on a fish, it's like as it's coming through. So I suspect it does probably cast a little bit better. And those are really the only two advantages. Is if maybe the sound of braid bothers you, but you do want braid because you don't want the stretch and you want the strength of it, or you know, if you feel that maybe it's going to cast a little bit further for you. So those are really the two advantages. The only disadvantage being, in respect to normal braids, you don't have the same kind of factor of strength. Again, so this is 10 pound diameter and it has 20 pounds rated strength. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm going to fish this out this season. This is just first impressions. And this line just came out as well. It's a new product, and it's innovative. You know, it's pretty unique. It's pretty cool. So I figured I'd just make a quick video showing you this stuff. Yep, that's it. It's a Tuf-Line Supercast. Alright, everybody. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, so I'm here at my place now, and I just want to show you a few things about the line here. I was mentioning that I didn't think it was really a braid, and I just want to go into that. So you see, like right here, it says like fully encapsulated braid, and you have that image. It is encapsulated, but it's not a braid. And I'm not saying this is necessarily good or bad, but I just want you to, you know, be aware of what it is. So let me show you. Here's my Helios, and let's see how much we could zoom in here. So there's the line, and just on the side, that was my first time out with the Helios, and look at the line lay. It's totally off to one side. I noticed that the entire time I was fishing, and a couple times I really heaved to get it all out and try to see if it would lay evenly, but I don't know what's up with that. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. But anyway, guys, let me show you this line here. So I did this already, but I just want to show you here on camera. Hopefully I can keep this focus good. Now, to see it up close, oh, my hands are really dry. As I was saying before, it's like truly, it's smooth. It feels like a mono. Now, I don't know if you could do this in practice. Maybe if you really were braiding, having a lot of abrasion against it. I'm not saying that what I'm going to do here would actually happen in the field, but I just want to show you. So if I squeeze it between my fingernails and give it one good tug, it'll flatten out. You see, now it's flat, the part that I just squeezed. But that's not really where I'm going with this. Let me continue doing this. And the sheathing is on there really good, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say this is inferior or anything. I just want to show you what the inside looks like. So we're starting to get there. Sooner or later, because I did do this already. There we go. Okay, so there's the sheathing part. Now you could see those filaments there. Now I haven't even touched it yet, but as you can see, it's not braided. They're just, there's a lot of them. There's certainly a lot. I'm going to kind of spread it out here a little bit. You could see, I mean, they're very, very fine. Let me spread it out. They're extremely fine fibers. Maybe against a black background. There we go. But you see, they're not braided. They're just kind of in there. And that's fine. You know, I don't know. I think the reason being because if it was braided, no matter how tight you lock in a braid, you're going to have space between braids. Different than if you just have all these fibers laying down longitudinally, you know, just laying side by side. I think they can be a lot more compact. So to make this line as narrow as they could, in accounting for the fact that they're going to put a whole sheath around it, they didn't put a true braid in there. They put, you know, kind of these fibers and then encapsulated them. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with traditional braid, let me just show you here. Now, this is actually from last year. This is some Daiwa. This is Power Pro Slick 8. And it's totally changed color since last year. It's much lighter. But I just want to show you here. Let's get the focus. Here we go. So if you kind of squeeze the ends together, you can see the braid separate. Maybe over here. You see, it's a weave. It looks like a Chinese finger trap, and you have your 8 strands, and they're woven together. So it's truly a braid. And you can see mine, because it's old. It's just one season. It's got like those little fuzzies on it. So the Slick 8 outer coating has worn off. So the only reason I'm showing you this, guys, is just so you have an idea. Most braids on the market are like this. They're truly braided, and some of them put on an outer coating, some of them say it's kind of molecular bonded, whatever the case may be. The line's actually braided. Now, one thing I will mention though, even though it's not about the Supercast, I just want to say something with regard to limpness. What ends up happening is that after you use, and I can only speak for this Power Pro, but this stuff is like silly limp right now. There's no memory, there's nothing to it. It's so delicate and just flows. Different than a new line. So see, when you have, here's that line actually. You can kind of see the difference. Look at the difference that a one season makes. Same line. That was the original color. But this one here, when you first get out of the box, doesn't have that. I mean, look, if I try to drape it over my finger, you see how it's just kind of like going where it wants to go? It's got all kinds of stiffness to it in the beginning. So I really like this stuff actually when it's broken in. When you break it in, this stuff is super limp. The reason I'm showing you all that is because I don't think this can ever get that way. Because there is no outer sheathing that can break down and wear away. This sheathing is part and parcel of the line. You don't want it to go away, because if it does, obviously then you're just dealing with that stuff. So it's kind of a catch-22. For it to have that smoothness of mono, you will always have this outer coating, which, you know, you can even see it kind of coils a little bit there. Now, I don't know, I suspect as you fish it, maybe it'll lessen a little bit, but I don't think it'll really change drastically because you're not going to get rid of the coating. And that's what changes in other lines and makes them very limp and very castable, is once you're using when that kind of coating fades away. That's not going to happen on this line. So I'm not saying, again, guys, this isn't really a critique of it. I just want to make you aware of some of the things here. I was just curious, and so I kind of dissected the line. I wanted to see what was inside, and now you know. So yeah, I'm definitely going to leave it on this reel and fish it out for this season. And I really need to give it some time to get a full analysis of how it works on the water in the field. But just here, a kind of tabletop review, those are a few things that it might be beneficial for you to know if you're interested in purchasing this line. And I'll just say it one more time, I know I said it in the video, the other thing, guys, with that sheathing is that this is 10-pound mono diameter equivalent. They don't put it on here, but it's a 10-pound diameter. It has 20 pounds of strength. Different than most braids. So you have Power Pro, and this is true of most. The usual factor is a factor of 4. So 10-pound diameter would be 40-pound test, 12-pound is usually 50, so you know, and so on and so forth. So 20 pounds is still plenty strong for almost all bass fishing, unless you're really thrown into some heavy stuff. But if you really, really want that 50, 60-pound strength, you're not going to get it from this guy. This is a little bit more, I guess, finesse or castability, you know, however you want to look at it. Alright guys, so that's been the Supercast, and if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks. Hey, I just want to mention one other thing real quickly. I forgot to include it just a second ago. This line is actually hydrophobic. I thought this was pretty important to mention. No, my focus isn't going to come back. This line is hydrophobic because it's completely encapsulated. Water can't get into the line, and it doesn't really even lay on the line. So when you bring this line into your spool, it's totally dry. And I was noticing as I was fishing it, it was just totally dry, and there'd be even like a couple small little beads of water sitting on top. The same as if you had a little bit of water on oil or, you know, on wax paper. Just a couple just laying on top. You could kind of just blow on them and they blow off because there's nothing for the water to get into, to absorb on. So this line floats as a result. And because this sheathing is a true sheathing, I think that water resistance is going to uphold for the life of the line. A byproduct of that is, you know, just show you on this reel here, like this braid here, the sheathing is gone, and now it's very limp and it's exposed. You have those little fuzzies on it, and so it's great in terms of limpness and castability, but with regard to this water absorption, it acts like a sponge. Those little tiny spaces between the line now can absorb water, and what I find is when I'm fishing this line now that it's all broken in, the bottom of my hand, when I'm reeling, the bottom of my hand gets so wet because the water just is in the line, and then as it passes through the line guide, it just kind of like drips down because it's absorbing line. So you know, it doesn't really matter. In the winter it sucks. In the summer it's like every 5 minutes I have to kind of shake out the reel and wipe off my hand because it gets slippery. You know, you don't want to set the hook in your hand to slip. So that happens because this line, without the sheathing having broken down, acts like a sponge. Just a byproduct of this kind of new and unique coating here is that because it's not like a little, I don't know how to say it, the stuff on Power Pro just feels kind of like a waxy outer surface and you can kind of rub it off real easy. This is a different thing and it's not going to come off, so this line is always going to be essentially waterproof. And you'll see it when you cast it, it just lays perfectly on top of the water. It has no desire to go below. It's definitely a floating line. Alright guys, just wanted to mention that real fast. Thanks.